Hello, ladies and gentlemen, listen carefully. You know, there's something I've learned, not from the films, not from the fame, not from the awards, but from the pain, the pressure, and the people I've encountered along the way. In life, not everyone claps when you win. Not everyone supports when you're down. Some people will provoke you. Some will try to bring out the worst in you just to justify their own chaos. And if you're not careful, if you're not conscious, you'll take their bait. You'll react. You'll explode. And in that one moment of anger, you'll give them exactly what they want, your peace. But here's what I've learned. The most powerful man in the room isn't the one who speaks the loudest, it's the one who knows when to stay quiet. Power isn't in the punch, it's in the pause. When someone disrespects you, insults you, tries to pull you into their drama, your reaction is the key to either losing control or taking it back. Look, I've been through moments where I wanted to shout, where I wanted to slam the door, where I wanted to prove a point. And I've done that early on in my life. I've made mistakes. I've reacted, I've fired back, and I've watched my own peace get shattered into pieces. And do you know what I realized? When you react emotionally, you're not just responding to the person, you're letting them write your script. And I refuse to let anyone else write my story. So I trained myself, not with muscles, not with money, but with mastery over my mind. I trained myself to pause, to breathe, to wait. Because in that pause, at that 1 second of stillness, there is power, there is clarity, there is choice. You get to decide, do I stoop down to their level or do I rise above it? Do I let my ego talk or do I let my wisdom lead? You don't win battles by shouting louder. You win them by not engaging in battles that don't deserve your presence. You don't prove your worth by reacting to insults. You prove it by not letting those insults touch you. And believe me, there is nothing more shocking to someone who expects your rage than your calm. You want to be dangerous? Learn to be calm when everyone else loses their mind. Learn to smile when someone throws hate at you. Learn to pause when someone expects you to react. That pause is not weakness. It is emotional strength. It is self-respect. It is mastery. People will test you. People will misunderstand you. People will try to pull you into their storms. But if you've mastered your inner world, you become the storm they can't control. You don't need to fight every battle. You don't need to clap back at every comment. Sometimes the most lethal answer is silence. When you pause, you reclaim your power. You make a decision not from impulse but from intelligence. That's how leaders think. That's how legends act. That's how you become untouchable. I'm telling you this because I've felt it. I've walked into rooms where people doubted me. I've seen eyes that judged me. I've heard whispers behind my back. And once upon a time, I used to want to scream, to confront, to retaliate. But today, I smile because I know who I am. And when you know who you are, no one else can shake that. You see, reacting is easy. Any child can react. But responding, that takes maturity. That takes character. And when you reach that level, you realize you don't owe anyone your anger. You don't owe anyone your energy. You owe it to yourself to protect your peace, to stay focused on your mission, and to rise above noise. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, remember this. Don't be the puppet. Be the master. Don't dance to their chaos. Dance to your rhythm. Pause. Breathe. And then, if it's worth it, respond with grace. And if it's not, let it go. That's not weakness. That's not avoidance. That's strength. That's power. That's royalty. And if they don't understand your calm, good. You weren't made to be understood by everyone. You were made to be respected in silence. Master the pause. Own the moment. And watch how unstoppable you become. You know, one of the biggest lessons life taught me, and I didn't learn it from success, I learned it from pain, is this. People's behavior towards you says more about them than it ever will about you. And once you truly understand that, once it really sinks into your bones, you become free. Truly free. We live in a world where people will judge you without knowing you, hate you without ever meeting you, and talk about you without ever trying to understand who you really are. They will make assumptions, they will throw labels, they will call you names. And if you don't know who you are, if you're not solid inside, you'll start believing them. You'll shrink yourself to fit into their limited view of you. And that's the real tragedy, not their words, but your belief in them. Let me tell you something. If someone lies about you, it doesn't make you dishonest. If someone disrespects you, it doesn't mean you're not worthy of respect. If someone walks away, it doesn't mean you weren't enough. Their actions are not a reflection of your value. Their actions are a mirror of their own insecurities, their wounds, their unresolved pain. You're not broken because someone couldn't see your worth. They were blind. You're not a failure because someone chose to walk away. They were weak. You're not less just because someone couldn't handle you more. You were simply Too much for someone who's used to small minds and small hearts. I've had people judge me, mock me, misunderstand me, on screen and off screen. I've been called arrogant when I was just being confident. I've been called cold when I was just protecting my peace. I've been misread, misquoted, misjudged. And for a long time it used to bother me. I used to wonder, why? Why can't they see who I really am? Why are they so quick to tear me down? But then I realized they're not seeing me. They're seeing their fears. They're projecting their doubts, their failures, their anger onto me. It's not me they're reacting to. It's themselves. I'm just the mirror. And once I understood that, I stopped taking things personally. I stopped carrying the weight of their opinions on my shoulders. Because I realized how they treat me doesn't define me. It defines them. Their kindness shows their inner peace. Their cruelty shows their pain. Their silence reveals their confusion. Their love reflects their strength. Their hate reflects their wounds. So now when someone tries to put me down, I don't argue, I don't fight, I don't chase, I observe, I understand, I let it go. Because why should I make their pain my burden? Why should I let someone's inner storm rain on my peace? You see, the moment you stop tying your worth to someone else's behavior is the moment you take back your power. The moment you realize, I am not defined by how they treat me, I am defined by how I respond, is the moment you begin to live free. People will try to make you doubt yourself because they doubt themselves. They will try to belittle you to feel taller. They will try to silence you because your voice threatens their comfort. And when you understand that, when you see the game for what it is, you rise above it. Not with arrogance, not with bitterness, but with grace. The truth is, no one can give you your worth and no one can take it away. Not your friends, not your enemies, not the crowd that cheers you, not the crowd that boos you. Your worth is not up for debate. It's not a negotiation, it's a birthright. And when you finally understand that other people's behavior is a mirror, not a measure, you stop being reactive and you start being reflective. You don't say, why are they treating me this way? You say, what does this say about them? And then you choose, do I let it in or do I let it pass? You don't absorb everything thrown at you. You don't drink poison just because someone offers it to you. You don't let someone else's darkness dim your light. You don't let someone's rejection become your identity. Sometimes people throw stones not because you've done something wrong, but because your light is shining too bright in their darkness. Sometimes your success reminds them of what they gave up on. Sometimes your confidence reminds them of what they lost, and it's easier for them to hate you than to heal themselves. But that's not your responsibility. You are not responsible for someone else's insecurities. You are not responsible for someone else's bitterness. You are not responsible for the way they see you. You are only responsible for being true to yourself, for protecting your peace, for honoring your journey. And if someone can't handle your truth, that's okay. Let them walk, let them misunderstand, let them judge. But never, never let them define you. Because you are not their mirror, you are not their mistake, you are not their version of you. You are your own masterpiece, and the only person who needs to believe in that is you. So don't let their behavior shake your spirit. Don't let their words enter your heart. Just smile. Just breathe. Just stand tall in your own skin, because that is the ultimate power, not needing validation from anyone to feel whole. There's a truth I had to learn the hard way, a truth that changed how I live, how I love, how I lead, and how I survive in this world. And that truth is this: if you want real peace, if you want to be truly free, you must learn to let go of your ego. Because ego is not strength, ego is not power. Ego is a prison that looks like a crown. For a long time in my life, I thought the more I achieved, the more people respected me. The more I proved myself, the more I'd finally feel enough. I wore confidence like armor, but underneath, ego quietly whispered, don't let them see your flaws. Don't let them win. Don't let them forget who you are. And without even realizing it, I started carrying battles that weren't mine to fight. I started chasing applause that wasn't worth it. I started defending a version of myself that was built more on image than on truth. And then life hit me. Moments came that stripped the layers, moments that shook the foundation, moments where the lights were off, the camera stopped rolling, and all I had left was me. Not the star, not the icon, just the man. And I had to ask myself, who am I without all of it? You see, ego screams the loudest when silence is needed most. It reacts when it should reflect. It fights when it should forgive. It protects pride, not peace. It makes you believe that surrender is weakness, that silence is losing, that humility is defeat. But let me tell you this, it's the other way around. The man who needs to prove himself is still at war inside. But the man who doesn't, he has already won. I had to learn to stop letting my ego run the show. I had to learn to sit in silence when I was misunderstood. I had to learn to walk away from people who disrespected me without the need to prove a point. I had to learn that not every insult deserves a reaction. Not every opinion deserves my attention. Not every attack deserves a counterattack. And the more I let go, the lighter I became. The more I detached from my ego. The more I started hearing my soul. The more I stopped trying to be seen, the more I truly saw myself. And that is where the real transformation began. You know what ego does? It convinces you that you're above others, that you should always win, that you should never be questioned, never be doubted, never be challenged. And then the moment life humbles you, and believe me, life always does, you feel shattered. Why? Because your worth was built on a fragile illusion. But when you detach from ego, you no longer need to be the loudest voice in the room. You no longer chase validation. You no longer need to be right every time. You just are. Confident without arrogance, calm without fear, strong without shouting. People ask me, how do you handle so much criticism? How do you stay composed when people throw stones at you? I tell them, because I've outgrown the need to fight every battle. I've realized that peace is not won by overpowering someone else. Peace is won by overpowering the ego inside yourself. Let me give you a truth that might hurt, but will heal. Your ego is keeping you from love. It's keeping you from healing. It's keeping you from depth. It's keeping you from connection. Because it always needs to win, always needs to protect, always needs to stay one step ahead. But in love, in growth, in truth, there is no winning. There's only surrender. Sometimes you have to say, I was wrong. Sometimes you have to say, I don't know. Sometimes you have to accept that you don't need the last word. That is not weakness. That is maturity. That is strength. I've sat across people who tried to belittle me. I've heard words that were meant to cut, to provoke, to break me. And my ego wanted to react. My ego wanted to fire back, to protect the image, to remind them who I am. But then my spirit whispered, you don't need to prove your power to people who are powerless within. You don't need to lower yourself to be understood by those who haven't even understood themselves. And in that moment, I felt something stronger than ego. I felt peace. I felt liberation. I felt mastery. You see, ego lives in comparison. It needs someone to be beneath you for you to feel tall. But your soul rises without pushing others down. It doesn't compete, doesn't compare. It just is. When you detach from your ego, you stop trying to impress the world and start trying to impact it. You stop chasing attention and start building intention. You stop needing to be remembered and start being truly present. And I promise you, once you taste that kind of freedom, you never go back. You stop needing to clap back at every insult. You stop feeling anxious when you're not noticed. You stop shrinking or shouting. You simply walk through the world with quiet power, knowing that nothing anyone does or says can take away from who you are. So don't let ego convince you that peace is found in being loud or dominant or untouchable. Peace is found in being real, in being whole, in being free. The more you detach from ego, the more you step into your true self, the one that doesn't need validation, doesn't need revenge, doesn't need applause, just presence, just purpose, just peace.